We've picked up in the last couple of months that it's mainly educational books, some training manuals, publishing books. Those are the main three applications that I would say for the South African market that our devices suits well.
In the European market, I must say what we've picked up there is also a lot of transactional, trans-promotional is really big. It's a very good fit for this device. And then also a lot of different kind of reading books seems to be a pretty big fit for this machine.
In wide format, we see growing for inkjet in corrugated packaging, in high-end, high-speed machines, and also a move towards industrial applications.
As far as publications are concerned, with the offerings that we have assembled now through the various vendors that we represent, we are looking to take inkjet technology and high-speed inkjet production machines to the A3 cut sheet sector of the market, as well as the B2 market, and of course the continuous feed, which has been established for some years already, albeit with a relatively slow uptake.
That's a good question. Obviously Gavin is very familiar with the African market, perhaps more than I am, but what my observations are, and obviously we've been here a day or two now speaking to people, speaking to Gavin and meeting many customers and of course fellow suppliers. I would say in a nutshell that the trend in South Africa is exactly the same as it is everywhere else in principle. It might be slightly in sync, a year, possibly 2 years behind the trend in Europe, or the adoption of inkjet in Europe, but fundamentally the trend is the same. So the trend is towards inkjet printing, full stop. We've seen it with wide format, we've seen it with labels and packaging, and we're seeing it with commercial print. What does that mean? That means that the benefits of digital printing, which we've seen for many years with toner type devices, ease of use, on demand, less waste, print what you want when you want it, but coupled with the reliability and the speed of conventional devices. So the toner machines are very capable, different substrates, quality, but unfortunately flawed quite often from the point of view of speed and, let's be honest, reliability, etc. Inkjet is a very reliable process, and what we're seeing now is inkjet systems coming along at all the different points, replacing toner, so that will be a trend, but also replacing conventional presses. If we draw some parallels with the label market, where screen have been very successful, we've seen flexo presses being replaced with inkjet devices. We've also seen toner type devices replaced with inkjet devices. So I think that quite nicely sums up the overall trend is towards inkjet.
I think Bui's summed it up very well, that trend is definitely on the increase, albeit that we may be lagging a little bit behind for various reasons, COVID and economic and exchange rate and things, but the value proposition is there. The machines are getting faster, the ink is coming down, the price of the machine is coming down, and the range of substrates that you can print on is increasing all the time. So it's making that value proposition for the prospective buyer that much easier to justify it, and especially given the demand on turnaround times and holding inventory and variable data, personalization, all of those great value adds in a device which is now becoming more mainstream. That clearly is the trend for the future.
Well, inkjet's already transforming the way that a number of sectors of the industry serves its customers. They're having to reassess their production capabilities. The thirst for knowledge. There's a great deal of enthusiasm behind inkjet. So certain sectors like book printing is an obvious trend. Publishers and retailers, they don't want large inventories now on their stock. It's costly for shipping, can be expensive if books don't sell quite as well as they'd expect, or on the other hand, if they exceed expectations, reprints can be costly. This applies even to expensive high-end books as well, so shall we say coffee table books. The Premier IS 29 can meet those demands perfectly. there's a strong desire in short-run packaging. Certainly the wider colour gamut that we see with inkjet inks meets all the requirements for packaging. Point of sale, web to print, fast turnaround. Inkjet's absolutely perfectly suited for that.
From the Impremier IS29 value proposition, it's a very versatile machine that fits perfectly into a commercial printer, a small packaging, medium-sized packaging company, because of the varied substrates that can be run through the machine. It addresses a very wide gamut, as well as the finishing aspect as well. Customers who already have an existing investment in standard flat sheet finishing can utilize that same finishing equipment and the plant that they have without having to invest in book block makers and other peripherals specific to continuous feed machines. So the value proposition is very strong for the machine, and I think also the DNA and the background in Komori's history of building reliable quality presses, and this is really coming from a press manufacturing background where the duty cycle of these production presses is very high. That same build quality and reliability factor has been built into this machine as well, making it a very strong contender in that market.
What we've picked up with inkjet is it's sort of a common trend that we've seen with everybody here today is inkjet seems to be at the beginning of the journey. Inkjet is a new technology that's developing where we find a lot of the conventional technology has sort of reached the limit of where you can go with that technology. So inkjet, we see that there is leaps and bounds being made in the media, in the inkjet, in the inks. It's a constantly growing and evolving technology, and I think that is what's needed to have a new boost or have something new coming into this industry.
Inkjet opens up new opportunities in print not possible before. We can think of bespoke, short runs, specialties, and those applications require lower cost, lower stock, and faster access to markets. So if you use screen printing or offsets, that would require much more time.
Okay, that's a good question. I think fundamentally the core reason is, if you like, why digital print itself has been successful so far, which is that in the modern world people want to order what they need in the quantities that they want to be supplied, if you like, when they want it. This is just a fact of life. There's less waste. The price of print, it's a relatively expensive commodity if you're producing a campaign. So yes, you basically order what you need when you want it. I think there's other factors. The skill levels to run conventional printing devices is quite high even now, and then bringing people in and having the ability to find people to work those presses and to cover for people, etc. So digital is easy to use. So we have all the benefits of digital, but with inkjet systems you have very simple, there's non-impact printing. So these machines tend to be extremely reliable, and they can also be extremely fast. And I think critically, as Gavin said, we can now print onto a wide range of substrates. So all the things that were holding back, if you like, inkjet are being cleared, and you have effectively the benefits of digital, but you also have the benefits of conventional presses. So yeah, I think there's a clear reason why inkjet will succeed.
Well, the effects of the pandemic has been to hasten the need for companies really to take stock of and evaluate their markets, like I said before, production methods and the customer's needs. So inkjet technology really becomes a convincing commercial solution. When it comes to quality, it can generally achieve the same levels as offset. In fact, inkjet inks tend to have a wider colour gamut than offset 4-colour, for example. We don't expect that inkjet technology will replace offset by any means, but the two processes can complement each other, work in parallel, enabling sort of a well-managed company to meet the demands of the customers.
Well, looking at it from a Kaisera perspective, obviously, as we've heard today, we supply the print heads to a multiple of our vendors. So the success that we've got there is obviously a lot of our competitors use our product, which speaks about the reliability and the quality that we've got. The fact that we can now harness that into our own industry platform, and that gives us a much more sustainable and better footprint to work from, and then develop our product range as we go forward.
Synergy, I would say. So synergy between inks, hardware, software, and services. And in the wide format space, we offer a complete package, and we are quite unique in that aspect.
That's a good question. Well, I'm glad you asked that, obviously, because one reality of inkjet printing systems is, if you look at them, holistically, they're very simple machines. You have a web-fed press, or even a sheet-fed press. You have an array of print heads, and you have an ink management system, and you have a RIP, and you put the ink onto the paper. But of course, in reality, it's much more difficult than that. So first and foremost, we're Screen, we're Japanese, and we're very good at making things. Now we're talking here about very high precision devices. You need to put these little tiny drops of ink exactly where you want them. So this is the implementation of the technology rather than the technology itself. The second thing, and probably easier to understand, is I mentioned substrates. So water-based ink is the ink that's required for high-speed printing. But water-based ink, traditionally, or in simple terms, is very difficult to dry if you print it onto closed surfaces, glossy stocks, coated stocks. So in recent years, Screen have come to market with SC ink, which is for coated stocks. So this is an ink that we don't need a pre-coat, we don't need a post-coat, we can just use the same print heads, the same ink supply system, and we can print directly onto standard litho stocks. So this was a big advance. On top of that, just recently, Screen have launched the second generation of the SC inks, which we call SC Plus inks. So we talk about very high quality. With the SC Plus inks, we've now got higher densities in the reds, in the blacks. We've got better scuff resistance, we've got easier drying. We've fundamentally improved the capabilities of the ink. So SC ink is unique to Screen. SC Plus ink is unique to Screen. So therefore, the ability to print directly onto standard substrates without any extra hardware and without any extra pre-coats or post-coats is a very big factor in the Screen solutions. Over and above that, obviously, there's lots and lots of nuances which I can talk about. Reference Screen, our heritage, our pedigree in commercial printing, in colour systems, pre-press. This is the quality print comes from not just the printing machine, it comes from what you put in at the input side. So we're very good at controlling the data, colour management, screening, and that is very much a factor in why the Screen machines are so good.
Well, I mean, the idea behind the Imprimera IS29 was to use our offset technology as the benchmark. Okay? We're strong in offset. Okay? We always have been. For almost 100 years, this is what we've been doing. So reliability, quality, productivity, versatility, they're all making up characteristics of our technology. This allows us to print on a range of substrates, paperboard, plastic, metallized materials, without the need for pre-coating. The printer sheet's completely dry and flat thanks to LED drying, which makes up a much smoother sort of transition through the post-press. For those companies that are familiar with Komori technology, they'll appreciate the high levels of reliability that we achieve across our full range of products. And as the IS29, that's no exception to those. So